The officers were stunned when a tiny stray puppy burst into the police station, trembling and crying for help. At first, they thought it was just lost or hungry. But when one officer knelt down and looked closer, what he discovered shocked everyone and left the entire station in tears. The hum of printers echoed through the small station, mixing with the soft clatter of keyboards and the steady shuffle of paperwork. A few officers leaned back in their chairs, sipping coffee while trading jokes about last night's patrol. That IT was one of those calm shifts, rare but welcome, the kind where officers could almost forget the chaos waiting outside those glass doors. Laughter echoed from the corner, where two patrolmen argued over whose coffee was worse. Then, without warning, the front doors swung open. A blur of fur darted inside, nails clicking frantically against the tiled floor. The officers froze, staring in disbelief as a tiny puppy scrambled across the room. Its tail tucked low, its ribs faintly visible beneath a dirty coat. The little creature looked desperate. The station, once filled with monotony, now held something unexpected. None of them knew it yet, but that trembling pup would change everything. The little puppy skidded to a stop in the middle of the room, its sides heaving with frantic breaths. For a moment, it just stood there, trembling, wide eyes darting from one officer to the next as though searching for someone who could understand. Its whimper was soft, but it carried through the room like a cry for help. One officer chuckled nervously, lowering his coffee cup. "Well, looks like we've got ourselves a new recruit," he joked, but his voice faltered when he noticed the pup's condition. Mud caked its paws, its fur was matted, and every bone seemed outlined beneath its frail body. This wasn't just a lost pet. This was desperation. The puppy staggered forward, then sat on its haunches and lifted its tiny front paws as if pleading. The gesture stunned the room into silence. Officer Daniels, the first to move, crouched low and extended a hand. The puppy pawed at him, whining louder, tugging at his sleeve as though trying to lead him somewhere. IT wasn't looking for food. It was asking for help. For a few moments, the officers stood frozen, exchanging puzzled glances. It wasn't every day a stray puppy marched straight into a police station, much less begging for attention like a desperate witness. Some laughed awkwardly, shaking their heads, but others leaned forward, curiosity etched on their faces. Officer Daniels kept his hand out, speaking softly. "Easy there, little one, what's wrong?" His voice carried a calm warmth, the kind that cut through the tension. The puppy responded by pulling at his sleeve again, then glancing back toward the door, whimpering as if urging him to follow. The lightheartedness in the room quickly faded. This wasn't random behavior. The tiny creature was frantic, its movements purposeful, its cries insistent. Even the hardest officer in the room felt a knot tighten in his chest. Finally, Daniels stood, brushing off his knees. "This isn't just a stray looking for scraps," he said firmly. "Something's out there, and this pup wants us to see it." His words silenced the station. In that instant, the joking was gone. Officer Daniels exchanged a look with his colleagues, then slowly walked the puppy toward the open door. The little creature darted outside immediately, stopping just long enough to look back, yelping insistently. Its eyes seemed to plead, "Follow me, please." The officers hesitated. It wasn't in their routine to chase after stray animals, but something about the pup's urgency gnawed at them. Daniels grabbed his jacket and motioned to two others. "Let's see where this goes," he muttered, his voice steady but curious. The puppy ran ahead, paws splashing through puddles as it weaved down narrow streets. Every few yards, it paused, turning back to make sure the officers were still behind, then barked again before racing forward. It wasn't random. It was leading them somewhere. As the group pushed further into the outskirts of town, laughter and small talk gave way to silence. The puppy's determination was undeniable, and unease settled in their stomachs. Whatever lay ahead wasn't going to be simple. Daniels felt his pace quicken. The pup wasn't just lost. It was guiding them to a secret, and time was running out. The puppy sprinted into a shadowed alley, its tiny body slipping between broken crates and piles of trash. The officers followed, their boots crunching against gravel, their flashlights cutting through the gloom. Daniels's chest tightened as he heard the pup's whine echo off the brick walls at the end of the alley. The light landed on a cardboard box tucked against a dumpster. The puppy scrambled inside, yelping frantically. Daniels approached his hand trembling as he lifted the flap. What he saw stole the breath from his lungs. Inside were 3 more puppies, smaller and weaker, huddled together in silence. Their fur was matted, their bodies frail, their breaths shallow. One lifted its head weakly, letting out a faint cry before collapsing back against its siblings. The officers froze, struck silent by the sight. These weren't strays playing in the street. They were abandoned, left to die alone. Daniels knelt, his throat tight. "Dear God," he whispered. "This little one, he came for us." The puppy pressed against its siblings protectively, refusing to move until help arrived. Daniels didn't hesitate. He scooped the tiniest puppy into his arms, feeling its fragile heartbeat against his chest. The others whimpered, sensing safety, but still trembling in fear. The alley seemed darker, colder, but determination lit every step. He needed to save them all. The officers quickly gathered supplies, blankets, boxes, and a first aid kit. Each item was carefully arranged, a makeshift sanctuary for the fragile lives they had found. The puppies huddled together, their eyes wide, trusting for the first time. Daniels whispered reassurances, though his own heart raced. Traffic noises and distant sirens faded as the rescue continued. Each puppy was wrapped, carried, and placed into secure boxes, their fragile bodies trembling but alive. The officer's radio crackled, a reminder of the world beyond the alley, but Daniels focused only on the small, desperate lives in his hands. The time the last puppy was secured, the sun had begun to rise. Light spilled over the alley, reflecting off Daniels' tired, determined face. Today, these tiny beings would have a second chance at life, and a protector who refused to let them go. The small group of puppies arrived at the shelter, carried carefully by Daniels and the officers. The shelter smelled of disinfectant, warmth, and the faint aroma of other animals. Volunteers rushed forward, eyes widening as they took in the tiny, trembling creatures. Every movement was gentle, every word a soft reassurance. One by one, each puppy was placed in a safe space, a clean enclosure lined with blankets. Daniels watched as the smallest one explored its surroundings hesitantly, nose twitching at the unfamiliar scents. The others followed, some still huddled together, finding courage in each other. Volunteers murmured encouragement, realizing the depth of fear each puppy had endured. A vet arrived quickly, examining the puppies with careful hands and soft words. Some had minor injuries, others were malnourished, but all were alive because someone had acted before it was too late. Daniel's eyes never left them, a quiet pride mixed with relief filling his chest. As night fell outside the shelter, the once frightened puppies slept in newfound safety, unaware of the man who had risked everything to save them. The shelter was quiet now, the puppies curled up in warmth, finally safe. Daniel stood back, watching them sleep, his heart swelling with relief. Every soft breath, every tiny movement reminded him of how fragile life could be, and how much difference a single act of kindness could make. Volunteers whispered thanks, their eyes misty, as they recounted the bravery it had taken to bring the puppies here. Daniels simply smiled, feeling the quiet satisfaction of knowing he had done the right thing. The small, trembling creatures that had run into the police station hours ago now had hope, a future that had seemed impossible just a day before. As he stepped outside, the night air kissed his face, cool and calming. He thought about the power of compassion, about the ripple effect of care, and about how one simple act could change lives forever. That night, the city slept peacefully, but somewhere, a group of tiny hearts beat stronger, thanks to one man's courage.